Broadcast complex of the Liberia Broadcasting System in Painesville. A cheerful good afternoon and a warm welcome to Newsline. 60 minutes of a news roundup covering the people, places, issues, and events shaping the destiny of Liberia and the rest of the world. Today is July 180, 2024, and I'm Anthony Vowin anchoring. In the big stories we're following this afternoon, United Methodist Bishop Samuel Choir reaffirms opposition to same-sex marriage amid sustained protests from members.
I keep telling them that the United Methodist Church is not a gay church. We in Liberia will never ever practice it.
Police arrest 12 people following recent protest and burning of properties at Salala Rubber Plantation in Margibi County. Labor Ministry warns concession companies to comply with permit regulation for their expert workers.
We have never gone to do inspection or to check whether aliens are working there without work permit. This team on the field is doing that right now.
Well, away from Liberia, in South Africa, that country's President Cyril Ramaphosa forms a new government amid wrangling with coalition partners. Also coming up, the news in French, a commentary titled Liberia's Renewable Energy Boost, a Matter of Urgency, plus a lot more. We begin with a bulletin of news read for us by Vavli Kamara.
Tension is said to be brewing within the United Methodist Church over recent endorsement of same-sex marriage at its global conference in the United States. The situation led to some members of the Leicester United Methodist Church in Ganta, Nimba County, staging a peaceful protest against the Bishop Samuel Choir over the weekend. According to our correspondent, Bishop Choir had gone to communicate a decision reached at the global conference when members began chanting anti-gay slogans. Our correspondent said tension then intensified, forcing the bishop out of the church with the help of pastors. Meanwhile, pastors of local Methodist churches in Nimba County have distanced themselves from the decision and threatened the breakaway. Meanwhile, United Methodist Bishop Dr. Samuel Choir is calling for calm amongst members of the church in Liberia. Bishop Choir said, like Liberia, most African countries do not endorse same-sex marriage, stressing there was no need for tension. The Methodist bishop told the Super Morning Show Monday that local pastors have been warned not to officiate same-sex marriage ceremony despite being endorsed at the global conference.
I can give that assurance 100%. If anybody wants to try my result, if any of my ministers will want to try my result, they should just go ahead and do that. This is what will happen.
Bishop Samuel Choir said prior to traveling for the global conference in the United States, he publicly denounced same-sex marriage. According to him, the church's position remains the same, even in the face of threats from the global church to withdraw financial support. More than 12 people have been arrested in connection with recent violent protests at the Salala Rubber Company in Weah, Margibi County. Recently, people believed to be workers of the Salala Rubber Corporation or company in Weah, Margibi County staged a protest and burned several facilities of SRC in demand of their salaries and benefits. A correspondent said the suspects were arrested after officers of the Liberia National Police saw them in footages looting the warehouse of the company during the protest. The suspects are currently behind bars in Kakata, Margibi County, awaiting trial. Meanwhile, the management of the Salala Rubber Company has shut down operations of the company. Labor Minister Councillor Cooper Crass says the ministry has raised over $3 million as revenue intake for the government under his stewardship. Minister Crass said the ministry generated money between January and June from concession companies, including the renewal and obtainment of work permits by aliens. He said a move is to facilitate government's efforts in raising the needed revenue to support its development agenda.
January to June 17, 2024, we have generated a total of $3.8 million. Just to give you the figure, it's $3,865,378.88. That's how much we've collected.
I mean, just in a short period of time.
A short period of time. And we are working to increase that revenue collection.
Speaking to our reporter over the weekend in Congo Town, the Labour Minister also admonished aliens to comply with the ministry's regulations. Minister Kura warned that any alien caught violating the ministry's permit regulations will be fined not less than $1,000 United States dollars. Meanwhile, the Labour Minister has dismissed media reports linking him to working for the Henrys and Kras law firm. Front Page Africa in this Thursday's publication alleged that Minister Kra works for the Henrys and Kras law firm that received 53,000 United States dollars from the National Port Authority for legal service. But Minister Kra told Elbc over the weekend the report is untrue and only intended to besmear his reputation. He also clarified that Henry's law firm was established in 1944 by the late former Speaker Richard Henrys and later transferred the law firm to his son George Henrys. The Labour Minister also disclosed he joined the law firm in 1985 along with other lawyers as a partnership between the Henrys and Kura families, with his son and brother serving as lawyers of the entity. Police in Maryland County are investigating 3 persons for allegedly stealing the street lights in the area. According to our correspondent, the 3 suspects were arrested by the Community Watch Forum in the county. Suspect Afonso Tia, aged 16, told the police that he stole the lights and reportedly sold it to 2 individuals in the same surrounding. A correspondent said the incident happened over the weekend when the Community Watch Forum was on their normal route. Meanwhile, the 3 suspects are currently in police custody awaiting court trial. 2 new members of the Board of Commissioners of the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission have toured key electricity generation facilities to acquaint themselves with the status of these facilities. The facilities include Mount Covey Hydro Power Plant, the Buja Island Power Plant, and Transco CLSG substation in Mount Covey in Montserrat County. According to a release, the 2 new commissioners who visited the LEC facilities are Attorney Claire Edward Tume and Amara Kamara, respectively. LERC Acting Managing Director for Engineer Abu Sanso told the 2 commissioners that the Mount Covey Hydro Power Plant and Abuja Power Plant are integral part of the nation's energy supply. Meanwhile, the Executive Director for Commercial Anti-Regulation, Hadi Sharif, emphasized the challenges confronting the corporation in meeting the growing electricity demand across the country. The Director General of the Liberia Intellectual Property Office, Garman Kobo, is calling for collective efforts in protecting intellectual properties in the country. Speaking on a Super Morning Show Monday, Madam Kobo said protecting intellectual property will help Liberians benefit from their talents and hard work. She wants Liberians protect the brand name of their businesses to avoid people infringing on their intellectual property rights.
We are aligning with those different ministry and agency. We are calling on everybody to work with the office. Everything's around all is intellectual property.
She noted that the protection of intellectual property rights is one of the best ways to boost the economy of the country. Madam Kobo also disclosed that several owners of SMEs have been trained in intellectual property management to ensure that their businesses are protected. The 15th Judicial Circuit Court in Riverview County has sentenced a 33-year-old man believed to be a Nigerian national, Charles Godwin, to 3 years imprisonment for smuggling drug in the county. Convict Godwin was arrested by officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency at Weah Joint Security Checkpoint while en route to one of the gold mining sites in the county. Substance confiscated include the infamous drug coach, heroin, and cocaine worth 17,000 United States dollars. According to our correspondent, convict Godwin is said to be a notorious drug dealer in the county. Meanwhile, the public defender, Attorney Amos Yenator, has filed a motion of appeal to the Supreme Court disclosing that his client is not guilty of the crime. CDC's tenor bearer and former President George Weah says the party remains committed to its long-held grassroots agenda. The CDC political leader said the party cannot afford to let down the hopes and aspirations of thousands of Liberians who believe in its ideology. In a statement of support and solidarity during the celebration of the CDC Militants Day over the weekend, the former Liberian leader extended heartfelt appreciation to the party's hierarchies for planning the program. The CDC standard bearer described the recent gathering of CDC supporters, despite extremely terrible weather, as demonstration of love for the party and thirst for an alternative agenda. Ambassador George Weah promised to return to the country rejuvenated to continue fighting for a better country. Meanwhile, the CDC standard bearer has lauded other political party leaders who graced the occasion, stressing the need for continual opposition solidarity. The regional bloc ECOWAS has advanced the need for Liberia to begin using the ECOWAS National Biometric Identity Card. The ECOWAS National Biometric Identity Card was adopted by the Authority of Heads of State and Government in 2014. It will be the official travel document to replace the handwritten ECOWAS travel certificate if the decision comes into effect. According to a release, the ECOWAS Commission, through the Directorate of the Free Movement of Persons and Migration, embarked on an advocacy and sensitization campaign in member states to popularize the NBIC. In Liberia, the team headed by the Director of Free Movement of Persons and Migration, Abbott Sio Boateng, visited the National Identification Registry recently. Mr. Sio Boateng said NBIC is currently deployed in 6 ECOWAS member states, including Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Ghana, Benin, the Gambia, and Sierra Leone, and urged Liberia to recognize the cards issued by those countries. And Assistant Youth and Sports Minister of Administration Valerie Williams says upholding democratic tenets must begin at the level of workers' association at public and private entities across the country. Madam Williams said once workers are respecters of democracy at workplaces, the nation can be democratic. Speaking at the weekend when she formally turned over the Youth and Sports Ministry Workers Association presidency to her deputy, Madam Williams called for collaboration between amongst Workers Association in pushing government's agenda.
The news bulletin is a special feature on Newsline. Vafli comes back with the weather report and details of our international developments. The United Methodist Church is being rocked by crisis after it recently endorsed same-sex marriage at its global conference in the United States. The situation led to some members of the Mela McAllister United Methodist Church in Ganta, Nimba County, staging a peaceful protest against Bishop Choir over the weekend. ELBC's Upper Nimba County correspondent Daniel Gatte witnessed the incident and filed in this report.
In an embarrassing scene at